According to my analytics, most of you guys watching my videos aren't subscribed. So if you guys are enjoying the content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. It only takes a couple of seconds and it does help a lot. Yo, what is going on guys, Flashverse here and welcome back to another video on Supergirl Season 5. And I know I'm a bit late to this, but this will be my full season review for Supergirl Season 5. So we will be breaking down the entire season. Although I am late to this, however, this could also mean most of you guys would have caught up to the show or would have finished it in a binge. So I guess it's a good thing that I'm late to this, because you could stream all of the episodes for free on the CW, so I'm guessing most of you guys that haven't caught up to it would have caught up to it by now. And before I get into the full review, however, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. But yeah, here we go. So I'm going to start off from the first half of the season and then I'll make my way up the second half. So the first half of the season was pretty messy in my opinion. Most of the stuff taking place were so forgettable and some stuff that they did was so boring half the times. And for the first half of the season we had Malefic as the main villain, and he was a pretty interesting villain and it built a pretty good story for John in my opinion. And I really liked how his story played out. Now, Jean was trying to remember his brother, but he couldn't, and that is because he has erased his memories with Malefic, so that's why he cannot remember it. And all that stuff that played out was really, really good. And after that, we obviously had John trying to redeem his brother, in which he was successful. So I really enjoyed the Malefic stuff. So all of the Jean stuff in the first half of the season were pretty good. Sadly as well, we had the departure of James Olsen in this season. We had Kelly trying to take up that mantle of Guardian at some point as she is given the shield. In terms of the other characters besides Lena and Kara, it was so disinteresting and I wasn't a fan of what they were doing with that. I also didn't like the stuff that were in there in Catco for the first couple of episodes, as the new characters William and Andrea were just really annoying and they were being mean to Kara and things like that. Lena is obviously a villain for the majority of the season as she feels betrayed because Kara kept her identity a secret from her, but she told the others. Now first off, the reason behind why Lena is mad at Kara was so stupid, but you do understand why she'd feel that way as well. So Lena in this season is trying her best to build a better society and trying to improve the world in general, and that is due to her being feeling betrayed and lied to so many times. And this leads to her experimenting with Q waves and obsidian lenses as well, due to her hatred for Kara, and we do also have her capture Malefic at one point to experiment with him. Now Lena is trying to inflict revenge on Kara, and in doing so she pretends to be her friend for the majority of the season, and when they were trying to work together, Lena then eventually stabs Kara in the back and puts kryptonite on her. This, in my opinion, was a very cold and evil move for a problem that was so small, but this separated both Lena and Kara from their friendship. Now this affects Kara for the majority of the season really, and Kara is pretty hurt about this, and as I said, it affects her for the most of the first half of the season. And I also said we do have new characters, Andrea Rojas and William, and both of them were very unlikable towards the start, but as the season progressed you do grow into them and you do start liking them a lot more. Now William is suspicious about Andrea, so he builds this investigation on her, and Kara does also tag along and they become friends basically. As the season progresses we get a backstory to Andrea and Leviathan as well, and we see how Andrea becomes a Krata, and this is really when you start feeling bad for Andrea. And Lena does also have a backstory with Andrea as well, so she has been betrayed a couple of times as well. And this does conclude with Andrea handing over the medallion to Lena, and this is how Lena finds out about Leviathan and the organization, and this is how Leviathan come as a threat in general. Kara, during her investigation, also does learn about the Leviathan organization, as she convinced Andrea's boyfriend Russell, I think the name was, and that's how Team Supergirl are alert of Leviathan. So Leviathan is introduced, and the first villain we are properly introduced to is Ramakan, and he was pretty powerful, and I was interested to see how this Leviathan stuff would play out, as they are like the proper main villains of the season. We do also have crisis build-ups with John becoming a paragon as well, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, in the first half of the season, Kara barely had anything to do other than her story with Lena and the Malefic stuff. So this is the first half of the season. And it was pretty interesting in some aspects, I have to say that. But as I said, most of the stuff were really forgettable in the same time. So for the first half of the season, I will give a 6 out of 10. Okay, so let's move on to post-crisis. And I could assure you guys, I won't be that negative for this part. Post-crisis was a massive improvement to the first half of the season, in my opinion. We had Supergirl's Earth merge with our other heroes, which was pretty cool, and this part of the season just had a better story and just better things for most of our characters in general. Lex Luthor is back, and we had him as the owner of the DEO, and I was so interested to see what they would do with it, and it did not disappoint at all. In Earth Prime, Lex Luthor is now a respected person and not a criminal to the eyes of everyone apart from people who have their pre-crisis memories. And I really enjoyed the story they had with Lex owning the DEO and how Kara was struggling to cope with Lex being her boss. I just really enjoyed all of that stuff, and Lex annoying Kara because of that. It was really fun. Lex does also trick Lena to working with him, and he said that they're trying to build a better world and trying to stop Leviathan, whereas Lex was just using Lena for his villainous plans. And by the way, Lex does find out about Leviathan from, I think it was Lena, if I'm not mistaken. Kara obviously is still trying to stop Lex because she has her pre-crisis memories back, and she's just waiting till Lex does something wrong. But although he does, Kara is never alert of it. Brainy also had a very good story arc this season, in which we had these Brainy clones merge into him, and like everything from him changes, and it was really cool. And we find out that Brainy must actually work with Lex Luthor in order for Leviathan to get defeated, and he had to separate himself from his friends. So we had him separating from Nia and Team Supergirl in general. So this is what built a very good story for Brainy, in my opinion, and I did really enjoy it. And obviously that was a false thing. I don't think he had to work with Lex Luthor, but he still did what his other counterpart told him to do. We had Alex getting fired from the DEO as Lex Luthor fired her, and Brainy takes charge of the DEO. We then had the return of Win from the future, which was really fun, and we had an incredible Toyman 2-parter episode, which was really enjoyable as well. Not just that, but the episode after that was the 100th episode, and that was a really fun episode as well, where we had Mr. Mxyzptlk offer Kara a do-over, and we do get to explore different realities in which what happens if Kara revealed to Lena in specific points in time. We had returning characters like Mon-El and Rain as well, and it was just so cool seeing these characters back. Now ultimately we find out that whatever Kara does, she just can't change what's happening, so this results to a shift in Kara's character, where now she wants to stop Lena from her villainous plans, as she now considers Lena a villain. Kara also started to build a relationship with the William character as well. which I didn't really mind. I know a lot of people aren't on board with it, but personally it doesn't annoy me as much as it annoys other people. Alex had a very interesting arc as well, as she is given this Martian weapon and she's trying to get used to this gadget, and essentially like whatever you think of, like that weapon turns into that thing that she thought of. Now we then had Lex trying to join Leviathan to help them in what they're planning, but he tricked the others into saying that he wants to stop them. So we had that story with him and Brainy working together, which was quite fun, and he was successful in joining Leviathan. We also had that mystery with Leviathan and what they're trying to do with the lenses, and we also had Alex try to explore the virtual world as well, and she's trying to help those people which went missing. Kara and William still do work together and they're suspicious about Lex, so they're trying to work together and take down Lex, which was a pretty cool arc, but they obviously didn't. The episode with Alex becoming Supergirl as she joins the virtual world was a really fun episode, and it was different as well, but it was a very pivotal part to her character as her father died, and it was hard for her to deal with that. In terms of Leviathan, they were a very good villain and was getting more interesting as we got introduced to more villains like Gemma and stuff within the organization. But my only negative pick from this was that we don't find out what their motivation is until the very end of the season. And the Lex only episode was a really cool episode, and we saw what he did post-crisis, and he did some pretty awful stuff, but it was just great. Lex, in my opinion, was the reason to why the second part of the season was really, really good. Alex also had a very good story where Kelly suggested that Alex should start wearing a mask as she's a vigilante, and that's what happens, and it was very cool. With Lex and Lena, we had them separate as Lena learns the horrible truth that Lex was using her. And so this leads to Lena asking Kara for forgiveness, basically. And she does also reveal to Team Supergirl that Lex and Leviathan are working together. So obviously we had that finale episode where everything gets revealed. And finally, we find out what Leviathan's motivations are. Now, Lex and Gemma are actually working together and are using Obsidian Platinum to destroy humanity, which is a very Lex Luthor thing to do. We have Alex get her new suit, which was a very cool suit, but it has its own problems. Kara and Lena had a very rough relationship and friendship this season, and they are still beefing for the majority of the finale, and Kara does have the right still to be mad, because Kara just did one mistake, but Lena inflicted dozens to her, so Kara did have the right to be mad. But towards the end of the episode, they're obviously friends again, and they're trying to stop Lex, and I'm glad that they're friends again. Kara with her motivational speeches, again, we had her enter the virtual world, and she's trying to convince people using the lenses to stop using them, and those speeches are just great. Leviathan in the end were very, very, very overpowered, and especially with the kryptonite they were nearly unstoppable, but we had Brainy saving the day. And we had that cliffhanger with Brainy, whether we don't know if he survived or if he lived, because Lex does turn on Brainy as well, and he calculated that Brainy was going to do that. So yeah, he takes the immortal tube and he leaves. So we had so many cliffhangers for the finale, which was great. We had the cliffhanger with Brainy, we had the cliffhanger with Lex and the immortality tube, and the Gemma robot thing. But yeah, overall the second half of season 5 was a massive improvement to part A, and it just had a lot better story, and I just really liked the Lex Luthor stuff. Part B is such an improvement to part A, and I will give it an 8.5 out of 10. However, for the overall for Supergirl season 5, I will give a 7 out of 10. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.